higher, real good, higher, healthy, higher reality. Higher, real good, higher, healthy, higher reality.
When I was in New Zealand, I had a very interesting challenge. What was my challenge? I mentioned before that there was a small shul there that was originally Orthodox, and they about 25 years ago they became part of a movement which is very similar to the Reform movement here. They call it their progressive. And one of the things that they kept on, the people in the community, we actually had a very good relationship. All of the members of that community would all come to my house at different times, not necessarily for a service. They would come for a Shabbos meal. But one of the things that bothered them was, the modern times, don't we have to become advanced, progress? But on the other hand, at some levels, progression in certain Jewish communities has many that's backfired. Intermarriage. A lot of children are growing up, they value everything but the synagogue. So do we need to progress, or do we need to remain the same? Conservatives versus the liberals. When I was in the high school, they made me take some type of a questionnaire. They wanted me to fill it out, and based on the questionnaire, they told me there was a whole scale of where I was. I'm like, conservatives versus liberals. And this is the debate. I mean, in America, they want to change it to the Republicans versus the Democrats. Everything's got to be like this. Should we stay the same, or should we advance to the future? What does Judaism say? The answer, what is that?
Were you a conservative or a liberal? I thought we didn't go there. What did you turn out to be?
What is that?
We want to know if we can keep you here for the next half hour or not.
Anyways. That was an interesting one. I don't even remember what I came out with. The answer is in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha was, what did we read? Who remembers? Nitzavim and Vayelach. Now, some parshas that are combined, they are really two separate parshas, but they need to be combined for a particular purpose because we have an order that we have to finish, and the mathematics didn't work out that year, so we have to combine them. By Nitzavim Vayelach, it's the opposite. They're really supposed to be one parsha, but we had to split them because of the mathematics. Right? You understand the difference? Some parshas, they're really supposed to be separate, but we have to put them together. In this case, what was that?
Give me an example of that.
There's Matos Masei, there's Vayakal Pekudei. Yeah. Well, they obviously chose ones that are similar, and the Rebbe brings this out in a lot, that the reason why those particular ones were chosen, because there was a connection. And the Rebbe has entire sichos that discuss why that particular one was chosen. But Nitzavim Vayelach was really one parsha that they had to split into. And it's always read before Rosh Hashanah. Nitzavim is always read before Rosh Hashanah. What is Nitzavim? Atem Nitzavim Hayom, you are standing. Nitzavim shows a power, stance. And Vayelach is going, which seemingly are two opposites. Nitzavim is standing, and Vayelach is going. This week, we did not bless the new month. Why not? Rosh Hashanah begins a new month. Why didn't we bless the new month?
We defer.
Why did we defer? Oh, very good. God blessed it for us. The month of Tishrei, God blesses for us. And not only does God bless it for us, is it from the power that God blesses this month that we have the ability to bless the rest. Nitzavim always falls out on the week before Rosh Hashanah. Sometimes it's combined with Vayelach, and sometimes it's not. When it's not, Vayelach is after Rosh Hashanah. So, the blessing that God gives the Jewish people which enables us to bless the rest of the year, comes from which parsha? Nitzavim or Vayelech? If it only comes from Nitzavim, well, Vayelech is part of it, so it has to be included as well. And if it's coming from Vayelech, well, Vayelech is sometimes outside. The answer is the very fact that it's sometimes together and sometimes separate brings out a very interesting point. Nitzavim is a stance. Torah that we read is limited. It has a specific amount of letters. It has to be exactly as it is. The Jewish people were very different than some of the other civilizations of their time. Look in Egypt. How did they write in Egypt?
On the left.
On the left. Okay, what else? Pictures. What else?
How do they ride or how do they
Right. Also, they carved into stones. Hieroglyphics, where they find it all over the place, carved into stones.
No, but the Egyptians actually were the first ones to write on paper.
But they still wrote a lot of their things on stone.
Yeah, but they were the advanced civilization that changed from stone to paper.
Right.
They were the first ones.
What's the difference between stone and paper? Very good. Stone sticks much. It stays much longer.
One is more expensive.
Stone was harder to spend.
But what's another advantage?
Expensive.
What's another advantage of paper?
It was inexpensive. The regular person could have it.
Portable.
Okay. What did he say? Sorry. What's your name over there?
Item. Yeah.
Dan. Dan got a very important advantage of paper. It's portable. The Sefer Torah was written on scroll because it's portable. Yes, the Torah is limited. Amount of words in the Torah is limited. It has to be exactly the same. You could not write one letter differently. But the Torah was built in a way that it's portable. It's not only portable physically from a place perspective, but also from a time perspective. Do we have any psychologists over here? Oh, everybody's a psychologist.
Come to our Kedusha.
There you go. Should have been here today. One of the most interesting things that strikes me about the Torah is its ability to go through time. Is there any written document of rule that lasted more than 50 to 100 years? Is there any document, please, I challenge you, because I've challenged many crowds in New Zealand and Australia, and please find me a document that lasted more than 50 to 100 years, something that lasted, that this is a clear rule, and you must keep this. They don't keep that anymore. Huh? First of all, it was amended. It was amended. It wasn't. Even the Constitution was amended. What was that? The Constitution was amended. It's not the same rules. They changed it. The rules gave you the ability to change it. Why? Because they realized that if man writes rules, you need to change it. So they were smart enough. The people who wrote the original Constitution were smart enough to realize that it has to be changed. So they put in a clause that allows it to be changed.
But before it was changed, it was around 50.
So as I say, it's 50 to 100 years. More than that, it doesn't last. The Torah is a set of rules that had millions of followers for the last 3,000+ years. How did it do it? Not only that, is take today, where our world is so different than the last few thousand years, and people are still finding meaning and purpose through the Torah. Because the Torah, from God's perspective, it's nitzavim. God gave what seems to be a limited, finite amount of information. And just like He did with your soul, it's each and every one of you's soul, that He took an infinite amount of energy and put it into a finite body. The same thing is with the Torah. Hashem put an infinite amount of information in a finite amount of words. And that is why it could last, and that's why it still lasts today. And it was written with the purpose of moving. So yes, it had its stance. And yes, we must hold strong to what the Torah says and follow the Torah. Because as I mentioned earlier, that is the ladder that infinity dropped down to us. When we use the Torah to guide us, we know that we are reaching our goal, that we know that we are being good people, we know that we are reaching a true purpose. But at the same time, we gotta move. We gotta move. The Torah wasn't given for us to sit down and lock ourselves in a room and say, that's it, just the Torah, nothing else. We gotta move. And every single person has to move from their perspective. And everything that comes, all the new technology and information that comes, all needs to be used in some way or another for Torah and for the ultimate purpose of the Torah. So what's better, the liberals or the conservatives?
Oh, we don't have that conversation here. That's a bad conversation to have here.
Huh? No, I'm saying from a philosophical point of view.
I think the conservatives.
The answer is both. Because you have to have a liberal mindset and a progressive mindset. You have to. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I used to tell the people in New Zealand, I used to tell them, you're right. Judaism needs to be progressive. Who's the progressive Judaism? Chabad. We use the internet. We use whatever technologies we could to bring the very same message. And it's important to know that those two are together. And that's why Nitzavim is always read before Rosh Hashanah, and sometimes Vayelech, even though it's part of the same parsha, is read after Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because God's blessing today is what empowered us to bless the rest of the year. Part of God's blessing is for us to take it and move with it. And in order to symbolize that, sometimes the moving side of the blessing, because the blessing is God's blessing us in order for us to move with it later. And therefore, sometimes the moving side of the blessing is after Rosh Hashanah, because that's our job. God blessed Rosh Hashanah, God blessed that month in the hope that we're going to take it from there.